Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Police have apologised over an investigation they mounted into a Newcastle United fan banned by the football club after expressing gender-critical views on social media. Linzi Smith was accused of being transphobic after suggesting that pro-transgender activism was homophobic. A complainant told Newcastle United that trans people would not feel safe sitting near her. Northumbria police have admitted crucial elements of their hate crime investigation were not acceptable. Joining me now is founder of Fair Cop, Harry Miller. Hello, Harry.
Yeah, hi. What an absolute atrocious story. And it took them over a year to work out that what they'd done was wrong. Got a 33-page report with 14 officers named who didn't understand what a crime was. What they did here, they said, well, Linzi's tweets are a little bit, they're upsetting somebody, but because you can't define grossly offensive, it can be anything that anybody thinks it is. If somebody thinks that it's offensive, it's offensive. And then one of the officers said, well, hold on a minute. We don't appear to have a victim in this sad story. And so what they did was they said, well, we'll just make one up. Let's pretend there's a victim. And let's pretend that that victim is grossly offended. And let's act on the basis of that. Can you imagine the murder squad doing similar and saying, well, we don't actually have a body, but what we've done is we've drawn the outline of a body on the pavement, and we're all going to imagine that there's a dead body there, and we're going to investigate on the basis of this made-up victim. That's what's happened here. Now, you say that they apologised. I dispute that. What they've said is that the standard of service toward Linzi, now that's not one, as though they were serving Linzi, but the standard of service toward Linzi was below standard. They're treating it almost as though they've served overcooked sprouts. They don't seem to recognise quite how serious this is. 14 officers, a superintendent, a detective inspector, a detective sergeant, in fact, 2 detective sergeants, CID, and a strange unit called Quality Control, all decided that Linzi Smith saying, this is your daily reminder that trans women are men, met the definition of a crime. Now, one of the sergeants was so concerned about this, and the reason that he was so concerned was he said that Linzi's tweets might discourage young people from transitioning. Can you imagine a police sergeant being more concerned about Linzi's tweets and thinking, oh my goodness, she might discourage somebody from detransitioning. We better go out and arrest her. This is the level of insanity in all this. Now, 1 or 2 of the police officers did stop and think. As I said, they realised there was no crime. And there's this standard in British justice, and it's this: no victim, no crime. No victim, no crime. They knew from the outset there was no victim, so they simply made one up.
Well, I thought that
I can't think that he's saying, I can't think of anything more utterly corrupt than making up a victim in order to pursue an investigation based on your political conviction.
You say there was no victim. Sorry, I read somewhere, now this could well be wrong, that there was a suggestion that the complaint came from someone with connections to the football club, and then the football club worked with Northumbrian police. Is that right? So there's possibly this sort of behind-the-scenes collusion going on.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. There was no victim. And so what the police did, they worked with Newcastle United to imagine that there was a victim. And they said to Newcastle United, do you think that people in your stands, people who come to support Newcastle United, might be concerned about having a hateful bigot in the stands? And they said, well, yeah, probably. And so they said, right, that's it. It's a hate crime. Let's go and interview her. Let's go and confiscate her phone. Let's go and interrogate her about these tweets. And then, of course, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy, because they then went back to Newcastle United and said, yes, there is indeed a hate crime. And the hate crime is malicious communications. And then Newcastle said, OK, then, because she's being invested for malicious communications, we'll ban her for 3 years. From the stadium.
Well, let's talk about that, because the police have apologised and they've insisted that they weren't influencing the club's decision. Now, the club case is still going on, right? Linzi is still taking the club to court because she's still banned. Is that correct? Even after all of this?
That's right, but it's simply not true that they didn't influence Newcastle United. They did influence Newcastle United. They told Newcastle United that this was a hate crime. What they should have done is told Newcastle United to stop being so silly, stop being so stupid. That's what they should have done, but they didn't. They went back and forth to Newcastle United and convinced them that there was a hate crime. Newcastle United confirmed it to the police, and they all acted with this absolute state of utter madness against Linzi. Now, that's one thing. But the other thing is 14 police officers were on this case. You can't get somebody to come round as a burglary, let alone 14 police officers. For what? For saying that that Linzi Smith, a gender-critical lesbian, says that she's LGB, not LGBT. That's what she said, and that's what they took offence at.
So they've apologised. They've said that they're going to. They said they are now going to be going through. They're going to be changing their procedures. What do you think they really will? Because of course you've been through this yourself. And did they change afterwards?
No, it hasn't changed at all. The police have consistently ignored my High Court ruling in 2019. They've consistently ignored the Court of Appeal in 2021. Again, they've consistently ignored Suella Braverman's statutory guidance, and they've consistently ignored the College of Policing's hate crime guidance. Learning isn't going to cut it. Okay. What we have here is a problem of deep, systemic discrimination against gender-critical women. Well, and that's it.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining me. That's the founder of Fair Cop, Harry Miller. He also makes my job very easy because I don't have to ask him any questions. So in an apology to Linzi Smith, Northumbria police said the effect of these events to your personal life is neither disputed nor taken lightly. The investigating officer extends sincere apologies for your situation you have found yourself in. Linzi Smith will be appearing live on Ben Leo tonight from 9 p.m, and I believe you can support her case if you go to the Free Speech Union